All right, today we're cracking open a 2,000-year-old cold case, and it all centers on a single word, a word whose original meaning was way more dangerous and a lot more political than you might think. So let's just set aside what we think gospel means today. We're going to dig into the legal and political reality of this term back in the 1st century Roman Empire. This wasn't some private belief. It was a public announcement, and it had very public consequences. Now, to really get this, we can't start in Jerusalem. No, the evidence trail actually begins somewhere else, right in the heart of the Roman propaganda machine. See, back then, an Evangelion, the Greek word for gospel, it wasn't some religious idea. It was basically a state-issued press release. It was the official good news that a new Caesar was on the throne, or that he'd won a huge military victory. It was the announcement of his divine authority over the entire world. And this is where it gets really interesting. Just look at how the evidence lines up here. You've got the titles, the timeline, the promised outcome. The apostles are using the exact same political language as the empire. Now, that is not a coincidence. That is a direct confrontation. And if you want hard evidence, well, here it is, literally carved in stone. This inscription, found in modern-day Turkey, confirms everything. The Gospel of Caesar proclaimed a new savior, a new god, and even a brand new calendar for the whole world. I mean, we're talking a total system reboot here. So you see, the apostles didn't just invent a new religious word. They hijacked the language of the state. And this was an absolutely deliberate strategic choice. By using the empire's own language, they were basically declaring that a rival government was now in session, and it was under the authority of a completely different king. Okay, let's follow the evidence. Any claim to sovereignty needs credentials, right? Without proof, it is all just talk. So think about this. How in the world do you challenge a deified emperor, a guy who literally holds the power of life and death over millions of people? You can't just walk in and say, hey, we've got a new king. You have to prove it. And this is so critical. The apostles didn't show up with faith as their evidence. They presented Tekmerion. That's a legal term, the highest form of evidence in Greek courts. It means an infallible proof, the kind of evidence designed to hold up under the toughest legal scrutiny. And according to the record in Acts chapter 1, verse 3, the resurrection was the Tekmerion. It wasn't presented as a myth or a nice story. It was the credentialing document, the legal proof submitted as evidence. It was the one thing that authorized their entire sovereign claim. Okay, so let's break this down. The bottom line is this. Rome's ultimate argument was the cross. It was the state's absolute power to kill you. The apostles' counter-argument? The empty tomb. That was proof of a power over death itself. This credential demonstrated authority over the one and only thing Caesar could not control. So what happens next? Let's look at the fallout. How did the Roman authorities react when this announcement, this Evangelion, landed in their jurisdiction? Well, the court records are pretty darn clear. Just look at how the official charges escalate. When they're in Philippi, a loyal Roman colony, it starts as a charge of promoting illegal customs, kind of like disturbing the peace. But by the time they get to Thessalonica, the charge is maiestas, high treason. That is the most serious crime in the entire empire. And this right here shows you the specific laws they were breaking. They weren't seen as some harmless little religious group, no. They were prosecuted as political subversives because they were violating the direct decrees of Caesar. Every single one of these points was an act of sedition. All right, let's connect the forensic evidence here. What we see is an unbroken thread, leading directly from the propaganda language of the Roman Empire right to the treason trials in its courts. This timeline lays it out perfectly. It is a clear collision course. First, you have Rome in 9 BC, officially defining what a gospel is in stone. Then, around 33 CE, a rival gospel hits the scene, backed by what they claim is forensic proof. And the result? By 50 CE, the heralds of this rival king are being charged with treason. The legal system reacted exactly as you would expect when a rival sovereign is announced. When you look at all the evidence, it really only points to one verdict. The original gospel was not a plea for a new religion. It was the public, formal, legal declaration of a new global government. It wasn't an invitation to a private belief system. It was a summons to a new kingdom. So when you see this message for what it was, a sovereign announcement backed by proof, it changes things, doesn't it? If the gospel was first and foremost a public, political announcement about who is actually in charge of the world, What does that 2,000-year-old proclamation demand of us today?